Ever stop to think about how news actually happens? How it goes from just an idea to something that affects all of us? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to solve the news puzzle.
Okay, so take a look at this. You might just see a crossword puzzle, right? Something you do on a lazy Sunday. But what if it's more than that? What if it's actually a secret map? A map that shows us how information travels from the moment it's created all the way to its final consequence. Yeah, these words, they tell a story, and we're about to figure it out.
See, all the words are right there in front of us, but the magic, the real story, is how they all fit together. So let's solve this thing. We'll follow the clues one by one and see what this puzzle really tells us about the information we see every single day.
All right, first stop on our journey, the journalist's craft. This is ground zero, the absolute foundation of the story where everything we read, watch, and hear begins.
So our first piece of the puzzle is journalism. And look, this isn't just some textbook definition. We're talking about the actual craft, the profession of finding stories, writing them, and getting them out there. You can kind of think of it as the engine, you know? The thing that makes the whole world of news go round.
But here's the catch. That engine, it doesn't run on its own. Nope, it needs a very specific kind of fuel. And that fuel is trust. Seriously, without trust, all those words are just words on a page. A story has zero power, zero meaning if you, the audience, don't believe where it's coming from. Which, naturally, brings us to our next clue.
And that word is reputation. It's so crucial, because it's not just about what a journalist does. It's about how we see them, how we perceive them. For anyone in the news business, their reputation is everything. It's the absolute bedrock of their credibility. And it's fragile, man. It takes years of being accurate and fair to build it up, and just one mistake can tear it all down.
Okay, so we've got a story, written by a journalist who's built up a solid reputation. Now what? How do we, or even they, make sense of it all? Let's check out the next section of our map to see how it works. We're moving from a quick skim to a deep study. And our puzzle points to this really key process. First up, you've got overview. That's like the big picture, right? The 30,000-foot view. And then, right there with it, you've got analysis. That's when you zoom all the way in. And here's the thing, you can't have one without the other. They're totally connected. You have to get the general lay of the land before you can really start digging into the details.
So what this is really showing us is that getting to the truth is kind of like a two-step dance. First, you get the overview, just to get your bearings. Then you dive deep with analysis. And that's the real game changer. It's the difference between just knowing what happened and actually understanding why it happened.
So we've talked about who creates the story and how we process it. But so what? What's the end goal? This leads us to the final piece of our puzzle, the entire point of this whole journey, making an impact.
And here it is, our last word, impact. Now listen to this definition because it's so important. It's not just any effect, it's a powerful effect. This is it. This is the moment when all that hard work, the credible journalism, the overview, the analysis, comes together and actually changes something. It could be an opinion, a new policy. It could even change someone's life. This is what it's all about, that one powerful effect. That's the moment when simple information transforms into a real force for change. All right, let's take one last look at our solved puzzle, our completed map. See how it all just flows? It all starts with journalism, but that journalism is worthless without a good reputation. Then we make sense of it with an overview and a deep analysis. And all of that leads to a real, meaningful impact. Every single piece has its place.
So we did it. We solved the puzzle. But you know what? The real challenge, that starts right now. Because now you have the map. You get how it all works, from the journalist's reputation all the way to the final impact of a story. So the big question I have for you is this. How are you going to use these pieces to see the world, to read the news just a little bit differently from now on?